South of the Grand Lift of Dectus lies the Frenzied Flame village, inhabited by the sick. Stay well away. There is a tower in the northeast of Liurnia, where a giant yellow flame sits atop, peering down on the land below like an evil, watchful eye, spreading madness to the surrounding lands. Whenever approaching the tower, the flame suddenly emerges and causes madness buildup the longer you remain in its sight. Those afflicted with this madness all share the same trait, the unrelenting yellow flames that burn where their eyes once were. The flame-crushed wooden shield states, carried by soldiers of the village that is afflicted by frenzy. The yellow flame is the symbol of the affliction, serving as a warning to those who might approach the village. All those afflicted have been driven mad and seemingly no longer recognize friend from foe. In this village, a talisman known as Shabriri's woe can be found on a dead body. It is said to be a disturbing likeness of a man whose eyes have been gouged out. It is said that the man, named Shabriri, had his eyes gouged out as punishment for the crime of slander, and, with time, the blight of the flame of frenzy came to dwell in the empty sockets. Shabriri is actually the name of a mythological demon in Judaism, known as the demon of blindness. This theme of eyes continues in many more aspects of the frenzy flame. For example, an item known as the Shabriri grape is a yellowing, oozing eyeball of the infirm. The surface is shriveled and the inside is squishy, not unlike a large, overly ripe grape. A rather disgusting aspect of this item is the fact that a blind woman named Hayeta asked to eat one, so that she may see the distant light of the three fingers. Unbeknownst to her, these grapes are in fact eyeballs of those who were afflicted by the frenzied flame. But what is the three fingers? The three fingers appear to be similar to the two fingers of the Golden Order in both appearance and their perceived purpose. As we are previously told, the two fingers are envoys or messengers of the greater will. It can be assumed that the three fingers' purpose is the same. There is some evidence of this, particularly in the fingerprint stone shield's description. It states, "A great stone shield with an intricately carved fingerprint design, part of the tomb of an ancient god. The readerless fingers relay their message through these imprints, said to be the very seeds from which frenzy first sprouted." It is interesting that this stone shield is described as a part of the tomb of an ancient god, further confirming that the three fingers act in the same manner as the two fingers, both relaying messages from their respective gods. The three fingers, however, lie deep under the royal capital Leyndell, entombed under the Church of the Forsaken. If you're enjoying this video and want to see more of them, please consider subscribing to my channel to help me continue creating these videos for all of you. Now, to get to the Church of the Forsaken, one must journey down into the subterranean shunning grounds. Venturing through the labyrinth of underground sewers eventually leads to the entrance of the church, where Moog, the Omen, awaits. He guards the secret passage, and it is only after his defeat that one can pass through, to witness the true horror of the Golden Order. Walking over the many corpses, it becomes clear that this place holds one of the Golden Order's worst acts upon any beings in the lands between. Confirmed by the nomadic merchants' finery, these merchants once thrived as the Great Caravan, but after being accused of heretical beliefs, their entire clan was rounded up and buried alive far underground. Then they chanted a curse of despair and summoned the flame of frenzy. Going off this description, the frenzy flame came after the Great Caravan was locked in the undergrounds and left to die, but there's some conflicting evidence. The nomad spirit summoning ashes is a member of a tribe that was entombed in the earth so as to bury the maddening disease that followed them, able to emit the terrible flame of frenzy from his eyes. Where I think the truth lies is in the connection between the nomads and Shabriri. Shabriri's crime was that of slander, and the great caravan was said to have been rounded up and buried alive after being accused of heretical beliefs. The frenzied flame was born into the lands between after the entombed nomadic people chanted their curse of despair and answering their call, so to speak. The Howl of Shabriri, an incantation of the three fingers, states, "It is said that the sickness of the flame of frenzy began with Shabriri, the most reviled man in all history. I believe that Shabriri slandered the great caravan, and in response, the Golden Order rounded up the nomadic people, or as many as they could find, and condemned them to die in the undergrounds of the capital. And in a twisted sense of irony, the flame of frenzy came to be in the empty sockets of the very man responsible for their unjust deaths." We actually meet Shabriri in the mountain tops of the giants, possessing the body of Yura, an NPC previously residing in Limgrave. Shabriri can be seen covering his eyes with his hands and greets the Tarnished, explaining that Yura, who previously occupied the body, is now dead. As for his flesh, he gave it to me, Shabriri. I hope you can make your peace with that. Shabriri goes on to try and convince the Tarnished, who would be the next Elden Lord, to abandon their journey to the Forge of the Giants and instead embrace the frenzy flame. He argues that Melina, the one who serves as your maiden, should be spared from her sacrifice by choosing a different path. Chosen Tarnished and would-be Lord, dare to tread the path of true rigor. Spare the poor girl and singe your own flesh in her stead. Descend into the depths far below the Erdtree capital. Seek audience with the three fingers in the flame of frenzy. If you inherit the flame of frenzy, your flesh will serve as kindling, setting you on the righteous path of lordship, the path of the Lord of Chaos. To walk the path of the Lord of Chaos, Hayeta must travel from Liurnia to the undergrounds of the capital of Leyndell. It's worth mentioning that Hayeta only appears after another blind NPC named Irina dies on the side of the road in the Weeping Peninsula. They look and sound like the same person, but go by different names. After your first meeting, you will continue to find Hayeta on her journey, where she will repeatedly ask you for Shabriri grapes and consume them, so that she may see the distant light and follow it. Following her path, you will encounter Irina's father, Edgar, once the commander of Castle Morn, and previously the protector of the grafted blade greatsword, the storied sword of Castle Morn, a revenger's weapon. It is burdened with oceans of anger and regret. Edgar now resides at the Revenger's Shack in the western region of Liurnia. He once swore vengeance on the misbegotten who killed his daughter Irina and vowed to hunt them all down. But now it appears he has gone mad, killing anyone or anything that approaches. Edgar attacks the Tarnished and eventually falls to your blade, leaving behind a Shabriri grape, which you can once again feed to Hayeta. Eventually, she inquires what it is that she is actually eating, and to her horror, you may reveal that they are human eyes. Hayeta gags and vomits as she realizes that others have fed her their own gouged out eyeballs. Despite this, she comes to accept that she must eat the Shabriri grapes to reveal the distant light so that she may continue following the path and become a finger maiden.
So faint it can't be seen by the naked eye, but with everyone's eyes together, it appears. Finally, it all makes sense. I'm certain now. I will be a finger maiden.
But her journey comes to a halt at the Bellum Church, where Hayeta reveals that the grapes are no longer showing her the light, and now she requires an eye that has been touched by the three fingers. She explains, "The distant light seems far closer than before, but I can't sense a thing from the usual grapes anymore. Please, could you donate a fingerprint grape to me? Without one, I don't know. I feel like I might go mad. The fingerprint grape is the eyeball of the knight Vike, inflamed yellow, seared with a repulsive fingerprint akin to those that marred his entire body. The knight Vike was once a knight of the Round Table Hold and a fellow tarnished. Vike, however, chose to accept the three fingers and the frenzied flame. His fingerprint armor states, "Iron armor singed and blistered by fingers, worn by Vike, Knight of the Round Table Hold." No other tarnished was closer to the throne of the Elden Lord than Vike, but without announcement, Vike traveled far below the capital and was scorched by the flame of frenzy. Did he make his choice for his maiden, or did some other force lure him with suggestion? It is suggested that Vike has gone mad from the yellow flame of frenzy upon meeting the three fingers. Vike's war spear explains, "War spear singed and blistered by fingers, used by Vike, Knight of the Round Table Hold. Like Vike himself, it has been tormented by the yellow flame of frenzy from within." If you successfully defeat Vike at the Church of Inhibition, he drops the fingerprint grape, which can be fed to Hyetta and at long last allow her to find the three fingers. Deep underground, under the capital, past the Church of the Forsaken, is the frenzied flame prescription. The flame of frenzy was banished to this tomb by the Golden Order, presumably on behalf of the Greater Will. The doors it was locked behind are left burnt by the imprints of the three fingers. There, Hyetta will instruct you to strip yourself of your clothing and enter the room before you, where the three fingers will singe your flesh and the flame of frenzy will find purchase within you. Hyetta is able to relay the message of the three fingers after you've laid your hands upon her, but it also melts her eyes.
Oh, it burns. My eyes, they're melting.
And eventually burns her from the inside out. The words of the three fingers, "As your maiden, allow me to divine them. All that there is came from the one great. Then came fractures and births and souls. But the greater will made a mistake. Torment, despair, affliction, every sin, every curse, every one born of the mistake. And so what was borrowed must be returned, melted all away with the yellow chaos flame, until all is one again." I believe that the three fingers harbored its god, the frenzy flame, within itself, and has waited to pass it on to the one who would be the Elden Lord, turning them into the Lord of Chaos. The reason I am certain that the flame of frenzy is itself a god is because of one very specific item, Miquella's needle. The needle's description says, one of the unalloyed gold needles that Miquella crafted to ward away the meddling of outer gods. It's capable of subduing the flame of frenzy if inherited, allowing one to cheat fate and avoid becoming Lord of Frenzied Flame. Once the flame of frenzy inhabits your body, there is only one way to rid yourself of it, and that is by using Miquella's needle in the Dragon Lord Placidusax's arena in Farum Azula. This means that the frenzy flame is in fact an outer god. Now, from here on out, this is total speculation, but I theorize that the flame of frenzy is connected to revenge. Shabriri may have been the one to slander the Great Caravan, and as revenge for their mass genocide, the nomadic people chanted a curse that birthed the frenzy flame in the very eye sockets of the man who condemned them. Edgar, the former commander of Castle Morn, swore to avenge his daughter's murder by killing every single misbegotten, but instead was driven to the Revenger's shack, where he slowly lost his mind, killing all those who dare approach. The storied sword of Castle Morn was the grafted blade greatsword, known as the Revenger's Sword. Its description goes on and describes a lone surviving champion from a country now vanished, who was so determined to continue fighting that he claimed the swords of an entire clan of warriors. Then there is Yura, the Bloody Finger Hunter, who hunts down and kills Tarnished who have turned on their own in the name of the Lord of Blood, Moog. He fought and died to the seemingly never-ending hunt, and his body would later become possessed by Shabriri, who uses it to try and persuade the Tarnished, who would be Lord, to find and accept the Frenzied flame. Almost every step of the way, revenge seems to follow those ill-fated to follow the path of the maddening flame of frenzy and its envoy, the Three Fingers. I feel I could go on and on about this topic, but I will conclude this video on this note.
May chaos take the world!
May chaos take the world. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up down below and consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more lore videos from me. Please comment down below any other videos you would like to see or any notes that you think that I missed in this video. And I will catch you all on the next one. Bye.